Hello everybody, this is Bench85. Welcome back to another episode of You Play KSB Reboot. And I left you off with a bit of a cliffhanger. We're getting right back into where things were, or where we were in the previous one here. Malpont is on her way in for a landing from a successful trip to Minmus. Unfortunately, I realized looking back at the footage here, I need to make sure to move Flight Engineer off of the panels where you can see the astronauts, the Kerbal-Knots, because, well, you can't see her facial expression whatsoever, unfortunately. So what I'm doing here is I'm not exactly sure how easily I can hit the atmosphere with this pod. It's a small pod, but I don't want it to burn up. The last thing I want to do is let this sucker burn up when there's probably close to 1,000 science that we got from Minmus. So I just, got close, slowed it down, made it so my my orbit was about 130 by 160 or something like that, and now I came back around to the apoapsis and I make sure that we are ready to go here. And we hit the atmosphere. So the last thing we need to do here before we come in is I don't want to have an issue with losing life support on the pod itself, which I just realized because food, water, and oxygen were all at 0. So I'm just transferring everything into the pod so that we've got 100% life support on that pod. Use up the rest of the fuel just to kind of say we did. And watch the sucker start burning. And there we go. Oh, where did it go? The camera shifted. There it is. There we go. So it's burning up. And because it's higher than us, we're actually going to start having more drag on us. So that's why we're slowing down and it's speeding up above us. Funny thing how atmosphere and how the orbits play into things, high, low. It's like the whole deal of, the higher orbit, accelerate to slow down, decelerate to speed up. That kind of deal. It works the same way in the atmosphere. You go a little bit lower, slow down a little bit more, and all of a sudden the other thing just goes racing past you. So unfortunately we're coming down during the nighttime, so we're not going to be able to see much here. It's just going to be a slow descent silhouetted by a little bit of the Milky Way. Although, is it the Milky Way? I mean, it's a completely different system. Might be a completely different galaxy. Who knows? But, oh, there's the moon right there. I didn't notice that when I was playing. The moon is in the sky. So there we go. We got full deployment of the chute. And 300, 200, 100. And we've got touchdown. Splashdown, actually. So let's recover it. And what do we have? Suspense, drumroll. Look at that. Over 1,000 science. Nice. And of course, our first chance to bring science back from Minmus. And she is a level 2 pilot. Nice. So now we're kicking back over to Jeb and his super secret, not so secret mission that we're doing now. We need to send him out of Kerbin's sphere of influence. Those Science Now messages are worse when I speed this up here. All I could hear when I was playing this was just ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. Apparently sped up it's even worse, which is lovely to know. So now that we're out of this sphere of influence, we need to do a bunch of science here. Some of this has already been done, because when we sent the Duna probe out, we did some science at that time. So we're going to keep all those things. We have to do an EVA report here. We do have another goo, which we're going to do. We're going to process, although unfortunately, we're not going to be able to bring it in. And that's just for the simple reason of we can't have two of the same experiment going into the crew pod. Which there is an item that I did not know existed, is the what is it? The experiment container or something like that. We have the ability to store multiples in that one, so we may have to utilize that for future missions. So now if we get back in, it's going to tell us we cannot store it because we have an extra goo container. And that's when I finally figured out where that was going. Crew report. Yep, so I'm going through here and I'm like, oh yeah, can't do the mystery thing. Fair enough. So now it's time to head home. We're going to do that by slowing down. We're actually going to point at Kerbin, and we're going to start slowing down. What I probably should have done is dump the science package because it's extra mass. And that would have given me a little more delta V. But let's see here. Let's set Kerbin as our target, so we're going to be able to see now closest approach. Now it says that we're not going to. And so we're just going to basically start slowing down, and it's going to show, hey, look, we've got a Kerbin escape and a Kerbin meetup in like 200 some days. That's not going to work. We need to keep slowing down. And then I just decide, you know what, let's set the marker and let's just burn towards target. And now we're actually starting to get a periapsis. So I'm just going to keep burning, keep burning. Oh, that's the end of that stage. So let's kick that stage. Let's get the next. Oh no, I'm just gonna burn RCS. See, I should have dumped the package. I was worried about Delta V not having enough here, and I could have simplified that a whole lot if I would have just gotten rid of the science package. So you can see I actually shifted to a radial burn just to change where my periapsis is going to be. And there we go, 97 kilometers. That is a very good approach. So we are back into orbit here, and you're showing a very highly elliptical orbit. Reason being is that we are very, very close to terminal velocity. So just a little bit of slowdown, and we should be able to capture. Now unfortunately, I really don't want to aerobrake this guy, because we are cruising. I mean, you watch this, we are going to be booking probably over 3,000 meters per second. And that will surely make us burn and die. So we're at the moon now. Coming around. There's 2,000 meters per second. We're still, you know, over 1 million meters over. There we go. Look at that speed. We are cruising. So what we need to do is we need to slow down. So I decided to start watching this stuff. Oh, I know why I kept it, because I kept the science package because it was also my supplies. I wanted to make sure I had enough supplies for life support. That's what it was, although I had more than enough. Transfer the last bit of fuel that we had for RCS. and we're going to decouple it. We probably should not travel towards it. So let's kick around, go to our retrograde here, and start burning. See, if you watch already, we've got... Where is it? We had an apoapsis height immediately after we started burning, pretty much. So that's how close we were to terminal velocity. Well, not terminal velocity, escape velocity. So started the engine. At least they enabled it. I haven't started firing it yet. We should have enough delta V. It's going to be close. So we're starting to go back up. Getting away from our periapsis, which probably isn't the best thing, but we do have enough life support that we shouldn't have to worry. You see here, we've already got our orbit way down. This is just on RCS, just monopropellant. So that's pretty good. Again, we're using our least efficient fuel while we're using the least efficient fuel first, so we can get it out of the way, so we can cut down on the amount of mass when we are running our most efficient fuels. Should squeeze out some more delta V. I know it's a lot of burning. There we go. Now we're going to fire the main engine. Plenty of delta V left. We're just trying to shift our periapsis here. So we're going to start coming in. You can see here I start burning radially. I was going the wrong way. So now we're bringing our apoapsis down, and our periapsis is coming down at the same time. So it's going to be a balancing act here. And we're out of fuel. So all we have left now is RCS. Just got to make sure that that periapsis stays in the atmosphere so we can at least slow down. Doing pretty good here. I was happy with how the orbits turned out. We were pushing it on fuel though. It was going to be very close. So it is possible that we wouldn't have had enough RCS if we wouldn't have taken along the science pack. So it was a tough call as far as what we wanted to do. Oh, and I did leave a little bit of fuel left in this thing so we could try to deorbit it. I don't have a lot of RCS, but the goal here is to burn radially. I was worried about connection. So you can see it's on escape trajectory. So if we go here and we start slowing down, we've got our orbit, and we're just going to shrink this guy down until we're under or going into the atmosphere. So we got 40,000 there, which is plenty. 30,000, 20, 10, and that is, oh, the moon caught us, which is unfortunate because I keep burning with the hopes that I can fix this, and it's only getting worse, and now I'm out. So now unfortunately it's gonna be influenced by the moon and get kicked out into a regular orbit instead of a deorbit, which is what I wanted in the first place. So we're just gonna have a spare little satellite flying around here. So here comes Jebediah coming home after being the furthest Kerbal from Kerbin that we had so far, escaping the sphere of influence, testing his spacesuit and getting his feet wet, per se, and then running back home. So we're going to try to slow this down again. I'm just trying to keep the re-entry speeds as low as possible before testing this too much, because I really don't want to test this with a Kerbal on board. Probably would not be a good plan. but we are starting to see the overheating already, the re-entry effects. At some point, those solar panels are going to get ripped off. Just like at some point here, we are going to run out of monopropellant. We're getting down there, less than 10% in those tanks, and then we have, what, not many units, what, 10 units, I think, in the pod itself. So those will disappear very quickly as well. The atmosphere is doing its job, slowing us down. We're starting to see Mach effects, heating effects on the panels themselves, and they're going to go in a hurry. There we go, we switched to command pod showing monopropellant, and we are out. That's all the RCS we have. We're now on our way in for a ride of our lives. You can see here, oh, it's turning around, so I decided to kick it because I don't want this thing going down backwards. And we got to watch that parachute too, because it is a side mount. And I don't know if that's gonna survive up there. Pretty sure it does, at least until it impacts the surface of Kerbin. But this is just like any other re-entry now. Just a little bit faster than what we've been doing. But luckily it's going to be daytime. And although we are headed towards the night side, we're actually really close to landing in the big crater there. We're going to have to visit that at some point when we get some airplanes working. And don't worry, at some point we will get airplanes working. I just needed more parts to make it work. It wasn't up to the satisfaction that I was working with. But I do want to get some space planes going. I do like the idea, especially for crewed missions. You can move crew up and down relatively cheaply. So it's something that we could do quickly if we have one waiting on the surface. Basically, you know, send it over and let it sit by the space center, and then we just gotta fuel it up, which isn't too bad to do with the mobile fuel pipes. Fuel it up, taxi it onto the runway, and take off with it. At least that would be the idea. I feel like I launched that that parachute a little early. I wasn't even through the clouds. There, now I'm through the clouds. I think I was worried about it slowing down enough. So we're still going over 100 meters per second there. It just deployed. And we are headed for the water, another water landing. But another successful mission. Jebediah now is going to be a level 2 for sure. And that's going to be important here, coming up with more and more missions. Especially when we start reaching out further and further, because they have more and more capabilities that they can do. I figured I'd do an EVA report quick. At least hanging upside down. Daring Jebediah as always. And watching that sunset there on the horizon. Splash down. Look at that. What a shot. So with that, we got a decent amount of science. Not too bad, but it sure isn't a minimus mission. But we're going to have to spend this science. So let's head over to the R&D facility. So now we've got 1,250 points to spend just about. We gotta decide where we want to go with things. So we got space exploration, which might be nice to do the hitchhiker one. I think we want to start getting into heavy rockets. Getting some of the bigger life support cans. Lots of big ones, but we get a lot of big rockets. Oh, and then we get the miniature ones. Okay, so we're going to be researching the mini ones for some upcoming plans I have here. I want to research this guy, which gives me some heavy rocketry. The heavier rocketry gives us some even bigger stuff. What is precision? Oh, that's a bunch of landing engines and stuff. Those would be nice at some point. This gives us our big tanks. So I feel like we want to get our heavy lifting. Those are big engines. Big SRBs. I think those are all, we're going to do that. Ooh, and then this gives us the nuclear. The nerve. Alright, so we have 750 left to spend. I don't think we want to get the precision one yet. Actuators, that just gets us the grabbing unit, which I'm not exactly interested in. Let's see here. Supersonic flight gets us the big afterburner. Gets us the bigger fairings. Nicer cockpit, so we can start getting into some space planes probably. Yeah, let's do that one. Advanced aerodynamics gives us a whole bunch. Ooh, air brakes. Nice. And a whole bunch of wings. So I think we should do that one. We got advanced landing, which gives us the better landing, a little bit bigger landing gear, but I think we don't need that right now. Different types of monoprop tanks, we're okay with that. This gets us, ooh, the 3-person. Yeah, we need this stuff right here for station building, so we're gonna need that one. We got 268 left. So this gives us some more of these units and the planetary habitat stuff, and we need this one to unlock it. So we may have to get to that. There's some other cores. Ooh, this gets us the seismic accelerometer, and how much does that one cost? 3. Oh, we don't have enough. Darn it. We should have done that one because that's another another experiment. This gives us some bigger ones of those. Okay, so we're gonna go that one, and then the advanced exploration, this guy, which will then allow us to start getting into rovers. Perfect. So we spent all the science we just did. If we now go back, you'll see our tech tree here. We've got a whole lot of them. And most of them will be done between 11 and 19 days, which gives us plenty of time to get this stuff done before we got this curb into Eve 1, which is where I wanted to use those small engines. So it'll be perfect. But with that, guys, I feel like that was pretty successful. And it's time for us to wrap up this episode. So next time we're going to get into some more fancy stuff. Maybe get into, I'm going to try to get into some plane development so we can get some stuff around Kerbin here. Like I said, we're going to have to be planning to get some probes headed out to Eve and Moho, and we also have scanning technology, which will also give us important things. So we've got a lot of stuff we need to do, and I want to start getting into the space station building. But I need the heavier rockets to do that. So that's why I was pushing to get into that. So we can lift more than 5 tons a launch. I want to be able to launch maybe 10, 15, maybe 15 tons in a launch. That should allow us to build some decent size units that we can put up and dock into our space station. But with that, guys, thank you all for watching, and as always, take it easy.